Hey, how's it going? I'm going to be doing some speed tests between T-Mobile on a Sony Xperia ZL and Sprint on a Galaxy S5. Just going to show you that Wi-Fi is off, Bluetooth is off. They're both on the same server in New York City, and we're going to run a couple tests. This test, I'm going to run a few tests in a few different locations. This one is in Northport, and I'm sure the test speeds are going to be a little low on both carriers. And actually, if I had AT&T or Verizon here, they'd probably be pretty low as well. It's just the nature of this area, but I think you're going to find that the T-Mobile speeds are better overall in my tests. Well, they're better right here. I'm actually surprised Sprint has taken off the way it did, but as you can see, neither speed is that great. I'm going to have to cancel this. Somehow my Wi-Fi got turned on, and that would make a huge difference. So I'm going to turn that. I don't even know how that happened. Let me just make sure it's off here too. Yeah, it's off here too. Sorry about that. Oops. All right, so we're going to go back to here, show you they're both on the same server in New York City. Start the tests. We'll see how it goes this time. All right, so the reason why I'm making this video is because I've been having a huge problem with Sprint. I joined Sprint 4 years ago when they were rolling out WiMAX. Never took off. I was going to leave them. Then they said, oh, we're getting LTE. 2 years later, on Long Island in New York, I'm getting horrendous data speeds. I'm never getting LTE, even though their map says I should be in many places I go. And the 3G speeds are virtually unusable, as I think you'll see in the subsequent tests. So I called up Sprint customer service, and I asked why I'm paying $10 extra for premium data when I'm not able to use data at all. And this has been going on for 4 years that I've barely been able to use data at all. And they actually didn't have a good answer for me. As you can see, T-Mobile beat out Sprint. You know, both these speeds are pretty low, but you can still see there's a considerable difference between the two, even at these low speeds. So, yeah, they said, well, I am using data. Well, yeah, I kind of am using data every time I try to get a page to load up. Luckily, for the past few years, we've had optimum Wi-Fi. But now that I went to Fios, I no longer have all the optimum Wi-Fi spots. So now the deficiencies in Sprint's network are just glaring. So I called up customer service. They said, well, there's really nothing they can do about it, and basically invited me to leave if I'm not happy with it. So I'm going to show a bunch of videos. I know there might be a merger between T-Mobile and Sprint, and God, I hope it doesn't go through, because I would hate to see T-Mobile have as bad a service as Sprint. When I first got Sprint, once again, T-Mobile wins, and we'll try it one more time. Once again, this is a T-Mobile phone, the Sony Xperia ZL, and this is Sprint on the Galaxy S5. So when I first, 4 years ago, when I first was looking at these two networks, I did try out T-Mobile at that point, and it was horrendous, just horrible. Data and calls, it was just bad. But I just got a T-Mobile phone last month. I've been trying it out, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed. I really haven't had any drop calls. I still get a couple dead zones, but I actually get those same dead zones on AT&T Verizon. So, yeah, not every phone can get service at every place, but T-Mobile has been phenomenal in the Long Island area from the places I go, and you'll see in the subsequent tests how they match up with each other. So if you're interested, stay tuned for the next tests. I'm going to link, loop them all, and you should get an idea of how Sprint and T-Mobile fare up against each other in the locations I could do, which is basically a stripped down, Western Suffolk County. So this is my experience. Sprint is just horrendous, and looks like I'm going T-Mobile. So enjoy the rest of the video, and let me know what you think. Test 2 in Dix Hills, New York. They're both set up for the same server once again, and we'll see what the difference is. And this is typical performance. Whenever I go out with Sprint, loading up a web page takes forever. I mean, this is just an incredible difference. I mean, we're talking huge, tremendous differences here. I'm going to run them each individually. And once again, they're both set up to the same exact server, so... And that's just a pathetic performance. And once again, they're set up identical. They both have the ability to use the best of the network. If there's LTE available, they're going to go on LTE. If there's 3G available, they're going to go on 3G. This is just... I'm not going to cripple one, and make it go on 3G when this is really a service provider performance test. So if one's able to give 4G and the other one's not, that's just the way it is. I mean, that's just crushing. So, and just to show that, I'm being fair, we'll go into settings. Once again, this is T-Mobile over here on the Sony Xperia ZL. This is Sprint right here on the S5. And if we go into, let's see, more network, mobile networks, you can see it's set up to do LTE or CMDA. And Wi-Fi is disabled, so it's not, on neither one of them is Wi-Fi working right now. They're both Wi-Fi disabled. Oops. Wi-Fi is disabled on the ZL as well. And this is just typical performance. When I go out with the Sprint phone, it takes forever for web pages to load up. When I talked to the customer service about that, they said, well, I was using data. Yeah, I am using data, but not acceptable data is not 5 minutes for one web page to load up, and the Sprint operator seems to not be able to comprehend that. So we're going to go for another test in Comac in a few minutes, so we'll see how that fares up. Okay, here we are in the Home Depot parking lot in Comac. I'm starting the tests again. Same server once again. Wi-Fi turned off on both of them once again. I mean, check that out. That is pathetic. 4 years ago, T-Mobile used to be a joke. I mean, it was absolutely absurd. As bad as Sprint was, T-Mobile was way worse. And in 4 years, look at this. I mean, this is they're just thrashing Sprint. And that's just pathetic for Sprint. I'll do them individually. And then just for giggles, I'm going to go into settings and turn off the LTE so we can just do CMDA. And we'll see if that makes a difference, although I don't think it is. Look at that ping. 868 milliseconds ping compared to 53 milliseconds. So when I called Sprint up and they said, well, you've been using data. This is my data speed. I mean, how long do you think it takes for a web page to load up? It's painful. He wasn't able to answer what speeds I was actually getting it at. But, I mean, look at this. This is just pathetic. So I'm going to run this test again, and while that's running, I'm going to switch this, more network, Yeah, I don't know if this is going to make a difference. I actually didn't even try it myself. So we're going to go CMDA only. It's going to have to reboot, but just deal with that. This is eating into my 10 minutes. That's why I don't verify everything. You know, I'm just going to be as honest as possible. They are set up identical. I can show you after tests on some cases, but it's going to take too long. So hopefully you can trust me. I showed you before they were set up exactly the same. So 10.9 megabits per second down, 2.96 megabits per second up, which, you know, the upload isn't that great, but it's a lot better than what Sprint has been doing, especially on the download speed. Alright, so we're not even going to begin tests. We're going to make sure we're hooked up to that same server, the Optimum Online. See, it's a good thing I checked in New York. That's the test we used before, because that's the one that showed Optimum Online. You know, they each showed different servers for each, but they both showed that one. So that was one that they shared in common. Okay, so this is on CMDA only. The ping is still crazy. Not much of improvement at all. So you're looking at 0.15 megabits per second up download compared to 10.91 megabits per second, and 0.0 compared to 2.96. I mean, that's, yeah, the upload isn't that great on either one, but the download is huge in T-Mobile's favor. So we're going to try a couple more and see how those go. Okay, here's the next test in Massapequa, New York. Oh, I think I switched it around. Oh well. The T-Mobile phone is the Sony Xperia ZL right here, and the Sprint phone is the Galaxy S3 right there. S5. There's a bit of a ping difference this time around, not as much as before, but still, the data speeds are just horrendous on Sprint. So you're talking 13.41 down on Sprint, 13.41 on T-Mobile, 0.67 on Sprint, and upload 0.620 on T-Mobile, and 1.18 on Sprint. And that's just hugely pathetic. So, I'm going to do one more, and we'll see how it goes. The Americana Shopping Center in Hesse, off Northern Boulevard, for another speed test. This is probably going to be my last one. Let me start them up. They're both on the same server. They're both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi off. And once again, they're both on the same server. I had to pick a server a little further away, but they're both on the same exact one because they're both sharing the same exact server now. So let's see how it goes. And once again, these locations that I picked, they're all places that I frequently go, that, you know, that I didn't drive around looking for places where Sprint would do worse than the others. They have a good ping here on Sprint, but Sprint on the Galaxy S5, T-Mobile on the Sony ZL, Xperia ZL, but the speeds are just, the T-Mobile is just crushing Sprint. Once again, these are the areas where I go frequently. This is the Americana in Hesse, right off Northern Boulevard. I mean, any service should be able to get decent service here. I'm going to just for curiosity, I'm just going to try to pick a local server for this one. So I'm going to let this choose its own. So current server, it just repicked. So it was on the same one. It was on Lime out of New York. Now it's going to pick its own server. This is an Optum Online server. It picked it, did an auto pick. So let's see how it does with that. I mean, I'm not even going to try another server for this one, for the T-Mobile. I mean, me personally, I mean, if I was a Sprint stockholder, I'd want Dan Hesse's head on a pike or something like that. I mean, this is really, out of, I think I've done 5 speed tests, all in different locations. You know, I'm not going out to the boonies. These are, you know, locations in Northport, Comac. I think I did what, Massapequa Park, Manhasset. I mean, it's a good section of Western Suffolk, and I mean, every single time Sprint has been thrashed by T-Mobile. I mean, this is just ridiculous. So, I mean, this is my results. Yours may vary, but this is what I'm dealing with on Long Island, you know, Western Suffolk, and it's just horrible. Thanks for watching. Okay, I was finally able to find a spot where Sprint had LTE lit up. So we're going to try a speed test with Sprint versus T-Mobile, both on LTE this time. Sprint being the Galaxy S5, T-Mobile being the Xperia ZL, and we'll see how the speeds compare. Both on LTE. And some pretty significant jumps in the T-Mobile performance, Sprint performance from the previous tests once the LTE is lit. But it doesn't look like it's as good as, I mean, T-Mobile's still beating it soundly. So there you have it. Try to be as fair as possible, but I just can't get Sprint to be a winner. Alright, I hope this was informative. Thank you.